talk to me on how this goes down.
Okay.
You guys didn't give me any warning. I'm like, and we're going. Yep. I'm looking at you. I'm like, we're supposed to look at this right. I'm looking over here. I'm like,
Welcome to the Housing Happy Hour, where we talk all things housing
In the happiest of hours.
with your hosts, Heather Dahm and Lindsay Searan. We are super excited to have our special guest here today. His name is Austin Yeagle. He is with Cross Country Mortgage. He is our in-house and preferred lender. Cheers, Austin. Thank you for being here. Of course.
love it.
Yeah. So give us a little bit of your background. How did you get into mortgages?
Absolutely. So right out of college and straight in the Marine Corps, did 10 years active duty. Ended up last duty station, I was here at Camp Pendleton, and decided after multiple deployments that I want to match and facilitate more of a family lifestyle. So I ended up separating, still in the reserves. I drill 1 week a month. I know you can't tell right now, so don't judge me. But I got into program management at an IT company locally, and I realized that it was just still not what I was looking for, right? I want to be in the real estate industry some way, shape, or form, but no offense, did not want to be an agent.
What, you don't want to be on vacation all the time?
You're right. That's correct. No, for me, it was more of the Monday through Friday gig, right? Wife's a school teacher. I need to facilitate her schedule, and having 2 little ones, it's very difficult if I'm slinging houses on the weekends kind of thing, right? So started networking, came across mortgage. I'm a math major originally, I went to school for, so all the analytics made so much sense to me. Yeah, you don't say. Exactly. Love the spreadsheets. So anyway, got in the mortgage industry, and of course, as you can imagine, being facilitated or part of Century Residential and helping you guys out, like, it's just obviously taken off, and I love helping people buy houses at this point. Yeah.
Well, you fit in so well with our crew. It's like a family over here, and yeah, you're like the big older stepbrother that we never wanted. But
I was going to say the same thing. We love you.
So what kind of loans do you specialize in?
So me personally, I specialize a lot in VA, as you can imagine, like having the background that I do from being in the Marine Corps, and of course being in the reserve, still wearing the uniform. I facilitate a lot of the veterans that have since separated, but also active duty service members. But all that being said, although that's probably 80% or more of the business, of course Century Residential is already veteran focused, which is an amazing pair. From there, we do have conventional, FHA, jumbo. We have individual products for certain occupations, and construction, rehab, you name it. We got the plethora of options for any borrower that comes to the table. So, although, like I said, the majority is that, it just happens to be my network, and of course, facilitating you guys. Really, we can do much of everything.
So when you talk to a new borrower, what are you asking of them to get approved?
It's actually a lot less than you think. And although you guys don't want to hear this, I'd rather the borrower start with me, to be honest.
Well, they can start with us and we'll keep
No, see, that's the problem, right? So they go out and they see these glamorous houses, and they come to me, and I'm that brutal hand of reality, right? So what happens is that they come to me and they think they can afford X, Y, and Z, and then what happens is I get every skeleton in the closet, right? I look at income, I look at their assets. Of course, when I pull their credit report, I get to see all the dirt, right? And so with that point, and I start crunching numbers, I have to come back to them and say, sorry, that beautiful home on the hilltop is not a reality for you. Instead, it's a townhome, it's a condo, especially here in San Diego, as you guys know, like, it's out of control, right? So we get those numbers dialed in, they get comfortable with that monthly payment's gonna be, right? And then we get them out there shopping with you guys. But really, when it comes to pre-approval, online application, everything's online these days, right? Make an account, and then you submit the documentation to support everything you put in there. So that's income, we're talking W-2s, your pay stubs, assets, we want bank statements, so I wanna make sure you can pay those closing costs, right? The down payment, and once you have all that lined up, then you're ready to buy. Now, all that being said, a lot of the preparation coming to purchasing a home, I like to do up front, right? So if you're not ready to buy right now, I want to put you on a plan to buy in the future, right? Because at the end of the day, everyone wants to have the home ownership piece, but they don't understand that there's 2 huge sticking points that always come across from a lot of borrowers. One is the assets, right, for down payment and additional closing costs. Because people think all the time, I probably hear the same thing. They're like, I didn't know the closing costs were so much.
Or at all.
Or even at all.
Yeah, a lot of new buyers.
That's exactly.
What do you mean by closing costs?
Well, even we were kind of joking about, having the, the client come to us first. I absolutely always encourage everyone to go to, a lender in the beginning, preferably. Austin.
Yep.
However, they are so unaware of the process it's going to take, and yes, about the closing costs. I can't tell you how many times they think it's just the down payment.
That's exactly it, and it varies so much, right? So I usually look at, I want to see 2 to 3%, and the reason why is because depending on the time of the year you buy, it matters when it comes to county property taxes, right?
Oh, right.
So San Diego County, they have 2 payments a year, right? So if you're purchasing right now, it's actually kind of the worst time of the year, only because you have to preload a lot to your escrow account, and that could be up to 10 months of property taxes.
Right.
And so that's like over 1/3 of your closing costs right there, right? So closing costs, and the other aspect I want to touch on is the credit report piece and the credit score. I cannot tell you how many times, and you guys probably did too, you ask the borrower, what's your credit score? Do you have any idea? And they have 0 idea. Right?
Or they pull up their Credit Karma app.
Or they do that, right? Exactly. And they're like, oh my gosh, what happened? It was 800 yesterday, and now it's a 16, or whatever the case may be. And the reason why I say that is I'll pull a credit report and I'll find a collections item they had no idea about, and it's dragging their score down, and they don't realize that affects pricing. So now they have a higher interest rate, the payment is higher, and now their affordability just came down. So all those come into play. So that's why I say a plan. If you're not ready now, let's look at what you currently are sitting on. Let's get you ready 6 months, a year, and then we'll get you pre-approved at that point, because it's all based on timelines.
Right.
I like to say when I'm giving my buyer consultation, and I agree, I like to say sometimes realtor and lenders kind of go hand in hand. They're both step one, if you want to say. When I'm talking to my clients, I always say, I don't like to go shopping without knowing how much money I have in my wallet.
Correct.
Can you imagine going shoe shopping, not knowing how many shoes you can buy?
No.
So,
Don't have that problem.
I know, but
But that's why I go to DSW.
But again, just like harping on step one process, I definitely say getting pre-approved is step one.
Yes.
Hiring an agent is like one.
Well, and especially
1.5.
too,
1A,
yeah, 1A, if we're gonna go back to college.
You're right. It's hand in hand. It's a lot of times borrowers think they
No, I totally
and
get
it's
it.
just and unfortunately, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, because then I'm looking for that guy.
Right. Another thing though, people I think and buyers don't realize is how fast they have to move when they do find the home that they want. You know, they've been looking, they've been going to the open houses, they haven't really done any of their own homework and the back end work, and then they find the right house, and then they want to write an offer right away. But guess what? We need so much more background information on you guys and able to write the strongest offer for you.
Correct. And then they come to me and they expect that I'm going to stop everything I'm doing, right? And I only focus on this one file and get it done in less than 24 hours. And of course, the agent's also hounding me in the same way. But all that being said,
because we know you can get it done.
oh, is that what it is? I'm sure.
That's why you're our
okay.
preferred.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, thank you.
Get it done, guys.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, I would say the pre-approval process is a must. And even if you don't know, it's kind of like, I always use the analogy with borrowers, like it's like going to the doctor. You don't walk into the doctor's office and tell them what to prescribe you, right? Instead, like, hey, they need to run blood tests, they have to do the full analysis, and then they give you the best recommendation. It's the same thing with a lender, right? If you think you know, right, you're gonna come to me and I'm gonna tell you probably something very different, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like the same relationship, but going through a pre-approval will get you that number and get you out there so you're shopping comfortably.
So rates since 2020 were at an all-time low. Everything was kind of crazy. You know, the market was insane. It was actually kind of exciting.
It was
I
thrilling.
really
loved
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I had a great time.
But another thing that I think is important for buyers to understand is they got so fixated on those rates, and now we're just going into a corrected market in a more stabilized normal market. And so now they're seeing normal rates again and kind of shying away from them just because they knew what was 2 years ago, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Drastic difference of what happened last 2 years. Like everything being on fire. But I mean, no one is, Zoltan, right? Zoltan! No one's got the crystal ball kind of thing. But I will tell you, all that happened because obviously with COVID, we pumped a lot of money into the economy, right, to get things back on track. And because of that, you had this hyperinflation, you had the higher interest rates, you had hyper appreciation with homes. And so all this, right, started pushing things along way too fast. And now we're burning red hot. And so now the feds are coming out and we're trying to overcorrect. Not overcorrect, we're trying to correct at this point. But I will tell you, with the way things are going, right, inflation, we're trying to combat it, right? There's a pending recession and things like that. But the feds are meeting every every couple months or so, right, their schedule's kind of weird, but they're raising rates. And the reason why they're doing that is because the federal interest rate affects your short-term debt, because most Americans buy things or buy shoes on credit cards, right? Exactly. But that being said, right, if that becomes more costly, because most Americans buy on debt, then they're gonna stop doing it. And because of that, they put more money in the bank. When you pull money out of the market, right, now there's less demand, it brings prices down, it brings inflation down. When inflation comes down, the bond market loves when inflation comes down. And because there's an inverse relationship with the bond market, mortgage rates, right, bond market goes up, mortgage rates come down. So the anticipation is, and like I said, not a crystal ball here, but the economists and everybody else in the industry is saying that this fall and going into next year, we're gonna start to see rates start to normalize, right, and come down. So with that being said, I just tell people there is light at the end of the tunnel, especially these first-time home buyers that are just so frustrated with everything. But it is, I mean, you guys can validate. I mean, it's kind of switching to a buyer's market now. I mean, I would say like it's a good opportunity, right?
Things shifted overnight, like definitely. It's like crickets happened. You know, our open houses were flooded with people. We were hardly even able to like get them all to sign in, keep track of them all. And now I actually just hosted an open house on Saturday and nobody came.
Really?
So like, yeah, like if that shows you.
On your lonesome.
Yeah, it was quite peaceful to be honest.
Yeah.
Finally a weekend off.
Finally.
Yeah. But that leads us to our next question.
Yeah.
Is this the right time to buy?
So for my opinion on it is, it's not so much timing the market, it's timing the market. Kind of like I said, no one has a crystal ball, right?
Yeah.
So rates, I mean, June, we saw the peak. We thought, man, this is it. And then we kind of came off of it. Well, then over the last couple of weeks and leading into the fall, we start to see a peak again, right? We anticipate that all these corrections the Fed are making, they're gonna take hold. It's like steering a ship, right? It's gonna take a while. But once it starts correcting, it's gonna start happening very quickly. But you can try to time the market all day. If you can time the market, then go play stocks, right? But at the end of the day, I tell people to treat buying a home like their 401k or their retirement account, right? It's just a different asset class. It's a long-term investment, right? And to be honest with you, every mortgage, the average life of a mortgage, you have any idea what that is? It's like 5 to 10 years.
Right.
No one sees their one rate they locked in the first time to the end, to the 30 years, right? It's unrealistic to think. The first time I bought, right, I refinanced the thing in the first 2 years, I sold it 5 years later, right? I never saw the rate to the end of life, right? And that's just the natural cause, right? People have job change, there's family changes, they need bigger homes, or like I'm telling borrowers right now that are purchasing, they're taking advantage of the fact that it's becoming a buyer's market. They're getting seller credit, right? They're negotiating prices down. They're getting the house they need to meet the needs of the family now, knowing that in 6 months from now, right, when those rates come down, they can then refinance, right, and they can take advantage of the market when it happens. I think it's a great opportunity.
It goes back to a lot how we educate all of our buyers is the asset is the home. That's the goal. The goal is to get into the home that you want. And what we like to say is always, you know, date the rate and marry the home.
Oh, of course.
So you can always
100%.
refi, but
Yes.
the asset is the actual property. And everyone has certain goals that they want to fulfill. And if it is the home, then get that home and you can deal with everything later.
Yep, and right now, like the media is nothing but doom and gloom. Like everything, internationally, nationally, everything is, you keep hearing the word crash, right? This is not
Media
doom and gloom. Who knew, right? Exactly, right? Hey, it sells though, that's the thing, right? But the point being is, everyone keeps, you see some people out there that are comparing this to 2008, right? This is not 2008, right? That was a subprime mortgage issue, right? Completely different than what's happening now. We're correcting from a global pandemic. But all that being said, like I said, I think it's still a good time to buy. And I even had this discussion with one of my borrowers recently. They were fearful, right, because of all the crashing, media out there, was that if I get in this house and the price or the value goes down, then what? And my argument with that was, well, you must be selling everything in your 401k. Stock market's going down. Why aren't you purging all those assets? And the answer I got, that's a long-term investment. Why do you see real estate differently, right? If you do it the same way, then you're not gonna have a problem, right?
Well, and when you have little baddies like us negotiating for you, we can always talk about buying down the rate. And I think we're seeing that way more now in the marketplace for everybody. And I'm even doing it right now with an investment property for a client.
Awesome.
And they knew nothing about it, and it's just educating them and making sure that they have
and that
real
conversation.
badass real estate agents on the side.
Yes, that and combined with badass loan officers.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely. So I would say I'm always an advocate for buying, and not to be biased just because I'm a loan officer and I help the buyers, but at the same time, like, how long are you gonna wait? There's too many times, I was doing a first-time home buyer class for veterans the other day, and I had a guy afterwards, he said, where were you 20 years ago? He still has not bought a home, right? He's just sitting on the sidelines waiting. Part of it's education, part of it's not knowing what to do, right? And when you get past that, right, it's just, you just gotta execute at some point, right? And then you can take advantage of the market. But, yeah.
All right, last and most important question for you,
I'm a
Austin.
little fearful of this one. But,
The mystery question.
okay.
Who are your favorite realtors and why is it us?
Wow, I don't feel like that's much of a question. But yes, you are my favorite realtors, of course, naturally. I do appreciate getting in with the veterans and helping them out. They are a underserved class for sure. And a lot of it's education, and it comes down to patience, right? You have to have patience, you have to help educate. My biggest thing is transparency and education when I'm doing loans. If you go through this process, you should know every detail what's going on, and you should feel comfortable. When you close that home, I want you to feel good about the transaction. And I know you guys help them do that as well, so that's why I appreciate that. Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't say because I'm a glass half full kind of gal.
Oh, that's true. That's very true. Oh, I'm always half glass empty. You know that.
Yeah.
I always look at the bad side of things.
He's always a half.
Well, Austin, I don't know if we can have you back for the housing happy hour because our glass
Look
is
at his
always
glass.
half full.
I mean,
I'm the one talking. Yes. But thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we love having you. We'll have you anytime. Thank you again. And we can't wait to see, where the market goes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. We'll get you that number and get you out there so you're shopping comfortably.
So are you saying that you have a PhD?
That's not what I'm saying at all. No,
Are you also a CPA?
not at all. No,
Do you have a white coat?
no, no way. God. I can wear one while I do the pre-approval if you want.
We'll have to capture that.
Okay.